getting a sound check coming up.
Oh, perfect.
You got a thing on?
I do.
I do. Can you turn mine down just a
You
bit?
want to come down?
Yes.
Might as well if you could.
All right, go for it.
Thank you.
All right, it is 4 o'clock. We'll call the meeting to order. Alan Stover, Herman Marks.
No, go right ahead.
Alan Stover will lead us in
No, if Alan can do it, this is good.
Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, God, it is so good, God, to come to you tonight, God, and we just thank you and praise you for all that you are and all that you do for us. God, as we enter this season of Christmas, God, we will never be able to pay you for what you did when you went to Calvary's cross for our sins. And I just pray that you be with this council today as they meet, God, that we'd make the decisions you'd have us to make. And God, we just love you and we thank you for all that you do for us. In Jesus Christ's holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, roll call.
Hyde.
Here.
McMaster. Here. Atkins. Wrestler. Here. Fuller.
Here.
All right, thank you to everybody for being here for the special called work session. We have one. We did not have anybody here for agenda-related public comments. We do have one resolution up for consideration tonight, and that is resolution number 25-351, authorization to intervene and file complaint in SSUT litigation. Kyle DeMeester will present on this, but before I want to let everybody know the reason for the special call is that there's a deadline, for us to declare whether or not we will join this lawsuit. This has been discussed for some time. I thought it was very important that the full council got the opportunity to make a decision whether or not we'll join the lawsuit. And also, I think it's very critical that our citizens and the public are aware of this issue. It's had more media attention recently, but it is critical and it impacts our community in a lot of ways. So this is an opportunity for our citizens to understand that. I think it's very critical as we move into an election year that our citizens are aware of this issue on the state level and how it impacts us on the local level to be able to have that conversations throughout the elections and with their legislators. So anyways, that's the purpose of the meeting tonight. The special call, that's the reason it was short notice, was because there is a deadline on this. So with that, I will turn it over to Kyle DeMeester.
All right. Well, thanks, Council, for letting me get up here and speak. I've been involved in this topic, it feels like, for a long time. So I thought it was best that I tried to make a very convoluted, moving piece topic into a simple presentation. So got some slides I put together here just to kind of go over what SSUT is, why it matters, and how it'll impact Decatur. So first slide is, what is SSUT? Simplified Seller's Use Tax is a program offered by the state of Alabama allowing eligible out-of-state remote sellers to voluntarily collect and remit a flat 8% tax on all sales made to Alabama customers. The purpose of this is to simplify the way they remit. It's a lot easier, say for an Amazon, to just have to remit one sales tax flat fee than various tax rates across the state. So how did we get where we are today? In 2015, the Alabama legislature passed an internet sales tax known as SSUT, and SSUT was designed to mirror sales tax by replacing lost revenues due to online sales. In 2019, South Dakota versus Wayfair then provided the states the ability to tax out of state internet-based companies. So we've come a long way since 2015, and I think a lot of people would probably look back and laugh and think, we're never going to buy a car online, we're never going to buy a mattress online, we're never going to buy toilet paper online, but here we are. So in 2017, a little timeline. In 2017, Mobile and Tuscaloosa publicly raised concerns over SSUT's methodology. In 2019, commitments were made from the state leadership to fix SSUT. COVID-19 pause expedited a lot of these changes in economic spending. The Big Ten mayors prioritized fixing the SSUT in 2022. That's when I was introduced to the topic. Multiple meetings were held with ADOR and state leadership. A PARCA report was issued on the e-commerce and taxation of the SSUT. And then in 2023, legislation for non-proprietary data to be shared to make evidence-based decisions failed due to the opposition of ADOR. Now, what that means is in 2023, we were making efforts to be able to understand what was going on a little bit better. We wanted to know how much, for instance, Decatur, we wanted to know how many Amazon sales happened in the city's jurisdiction so that we could make better decisions. ADOR denied us that request as a group.
They track it, correct?
Yes, so and I'll get into that in a little bit later, but to be eligible for the SSUT, you're required to have that data on hand should you be asked. Now, when approached and asked for it to ADOR, we were not granted that request. So that is definitely not an issue on whether or not you can get the data. However, it creates problems for someone like me to be able to estimate a true loss to give to decision makers. So we come up with assumptions and estimates. In 2025, we made a last-ditch effort with legislation to close what we call the DoorDash loop, and that also failed. So, long story short, there have been 5 to 6 years worth of efforts working with legislatures to try to correct these issues that we see here, and nothing kind of ever developed. So I think that's kind of how we ended up in a lawsuit that's occurring to potentially correct this. Okay? So the next slide is, why does this even matter? So you'll see here 16.3% of all retail sales in the second quarter of 2025 were online. So the next couple slides, I'm just going to really kind of paint the picture of why does this even matter? So you can see since 2016, that graph has drastically increased because, we're not idiots. We all see what's going on with consumers. Everything's gone online. We gathered this data from the Esri Business Analyst Pro and MRI Simmons, but this kind of stood out to me. In the last 6 months, 71% of Decatur citizens purchased from Amazon, 31% purchased online from Walmart. Those are alarming numbers. Next slide. These are some news clippings. Sorry, I didn't have it all pull it up here. These are some news clippings from a recent Black Friday. I don't know if a lot of you participated, but not long ago, it used to be a fun event to go on Black Friday to get in line and try to beat out other people to get the special deal. Well, that's changed. Looking at Reuters here, it says that for a time span of 6 hours, every minute, $12 million were spent online. The Black Friday data just kind of reinforces all this, that we have moved towards online sales versus brick and mortar. Okay? So there, that kind of paints the picture of why this is so important and where we've gotten to. Why does this scheme not work? So I want to kind of go through the math that goes behind how SSUT is calculated. So here you'll see a breakdown of the traditional sales tax, amongst others. So in Decatur, we have a 9% combined sales tax, 4% to the city, 4% to the state, 1% of the county, and I'll highlight the cities. 1% of that, 4% goes to the schools. Okay. So on a traditional $100 purchase, the state of Alabama will receive $4, the city of Decatur will receive $3, city schools receive $1, and Morgan County will receive $1. Okay? Now to the SSUT split.
Hey, Kyle, can you, just so that everybody's aware, explain kind of what differentiates Decatur City Schools? There's a constitutional amendment that's different than a lot, because we're seeing a lot of school systems throughout the state that are also taking up this issue, and that's because they're different than Decatur City Schools, where there's a constitutional amendment. So
in Decatur, on both the county and the city side, we give a portion of our SSUT to our school system. In the Big Ten, I can speak onto the Big Ten, we're the only city that gives our SSUT to the schools. On the county side, like Mr. Pike mentioned, there is a requirement that the SSUT that's collected by the county, a portion of that is also to be remitted to the school system. I think that's where you're...
Yeah, they're getting it. But it's still less than what it would be.
Yes, so,
If what this law.
and I'll get to that. The less that we get, the less the school's getting.
Thank you.
Yep. So the SSUT split is an 8% flat rate, okay? You can go to the next slide, or back to, sorry. There you go. There's an 8% split, so 4% goes to the state, and 4% goes to local governments. So on the state side, you have 75% of that goes to the general fund, and 1% goes to the education trust fund. On the other half of local governments, 40% of the 4%, or 1.6, goes to counties, and 60% of the 4%, or 2.4%, goes to municipalities. And you'll see those two little numbers on the side in yellow. I wanted to highlight the fact that there's only 67 counties, and there's 463 municipalities. So when you're cutting the pie up as many times as our share is coming out of, the amount just gets deteriorated. Okay?
And that is based on population.
Correct. Based on population, sorry, failed to mention that. So back to that $100 example, the state of Alabama will receive $4. The city of Decatur will receive 32 cents. The city schools will receive 11 cents. And Morgan County will receive 38 cents. Next slide. So who loses? Well, the state of Alabama still receives their 4%. The city of Decatur loses $2.68. And the city schools lose 89 cents on a $100 purchase. Again, I want to reiterate the first couple slides where I showed the trend of how more and more online sales are occurring and how this scheme doesn't work. It kind of flows together. Okay? Next slide. So this, I want to be very clear that this is an estimate. And again, these are assumptions that were used because I do not have exact data from ADOR. But using a statistic that shares the percentage of online sales. Now, that percentage is nationwide. But again, using that as an assumption, saying 16%, since the life of this program has started back in 2016, it is estimated Decatur has lost $55 million. $55 million. That's over half of our general fund budget in FY26.
That was almost our entire budget the first year in 2020.
Yes, sir. Next slide. I do want to highlight too, and I don't think I mentioned it, but it's important to mention the schools in this as well. When you make a purchase online, the 4% is distributed to the state on both online and regular. But when you purchase regular, the state of Alabama requires that $3, we'll use the $100 example again. Of the $4 that goes to the state, $3.76 goes to the Education Trust Fund on a regular $100 purchase indicator. Online, only $1 goes to the Education Trust Fund of the $4 that the state remits from SSUT. So not only, it's important to highlight that because I think it kind of gives some narrative on, again, more conversation of how this is troublesome for not only advocating for cities, but also for schools. And I bring that up because it's important that we highlight the schools because we know how important our schools are for growth of our city. Does anyone have any questions thus far? Getting there? Okay. So why is this important to the city of Decatur? Well, it's going to impact our budgets. Roughly 36% of our general fund budget makes up public safety expenditures. $31.2 million is budgeted to be transferred to Decatur City Schools. $4 million is scheduled to be appropriated to outside agencies. If we are potentially losing revenue, and 50% of our budget is sales tax based, some of these expenditures that we are budgeting for could be impacted. And we know the impacts of not having public safety, not having good roads, not having quality of life, all those things. It could jeopardize our credit rating. So I do want to highlight this because we recently went through a credit report. The city of Decatur boasts a AA2 with Moody's and a AA with Standard & Poor's, and you can see on this chart here that it's very high, and that's not something that's really easy to obtain. Personally, I'm very proud of a lot of the financial controls we have in place, our reserves, our financial management to be able to attain these ratings. And if our sales tax base is going to be hit, it's going to be harder and harder to get these ratings. And now, why does that matter to the regular Joe? The stronger the rating, the cheaper the interest rate is on our borrows, which allows us to do big project type things. So 2-3 dominoes down the road, but worth noting because, again, I go back to the 2016 where we never thought we would buy certain things. I mean, what does this thing look like in 10 years? So do we lose quality of life? Sales and use tax revenue in FY26 makes up 50% of the total general fund budget, and the sales tax to SSUT mix is constantly flipping. So that indicates the importance of this issue to be addressed. SSUT revenue has grown 77% since 2021. It's our highest growing revenue.
Do you know what percentage of our budget SSUT?
I think it's close to $6 million on 101, so around 6%, 7%.
And have you seen, you mentioned it's flipping, have you seen the drop in standard sales and use tax?
Well, not the drop.
Maybe
If you take total sales tax and you take SSUT as a percentage, that is increasing year over year naturally.
Right.
And at the same time, it's growing a lot faster than regular sales tax is growing. Correct. And I want to, and we're almost finished here, so I know y'all probably have a lot of questions. But from bad to worse, and this kind of addresses that DoorDash loophole. So prior to 2018, the original definition of an eligible seller extended sellers with a physical presence in Alabama. To accommodate Amazon, SSUT was amended to include marketplace facilitators as an eligible seller. ADOR, utilizing their regulatory powers, has designated delivery network companies like DoorDash, Shipt, and Walmart Marketplace, and many others as marketplace facilitators. In layman's terms, ADOR is ignoring local physical nexus.
Which, that's really a significant point in the lawsuit is the definition or the enforcement of an eligible seller and a facilitator, a marketplace facilitator by ADOR, and that's what the lawsuit really discusses, is ADOR recognizing people as eligible sellers or marketplace facilitators that actually have a fiscal nexus in the state, which means they should be paying the local and state tax rate, not the SSUT tax rate. Because it's voluntary, they're selecting to go SSUT versus local.
Sure, absolutely right. And it makes no sense that they should be given that, being they're going into our actual stores, grabbing the goods and delivering them to consumers. And then this last piece here,
One more point though. I think it is important that people understand it's not, when you make an online order, if you do an online order and it's delivered to your house, they're paying an SSUT tax, so those dollars are not all coming back to the community.
Correct.
If you do a pickup order at the same store, it is taxed the local and state
Correct.
tax.
You're 100% correct.
Just want to make sure everybody understands the difference between.
Yes, you go to Walmart and park in the spot with number 5 and plug it into your app, you are paying local sales tax. If you stay at home and they deliver it to your house, it is subject to SSUT. Okay. And I want to bring this last piece and I need to give props to City of Tuscaloosa because they've really kind of spearheaded this and really guided us on a lot of the research. But did you know, and I'm bringing this example up because I think this is where we're headed. Kroger has 10 stores and 1 distribution center throughout the state of Alabama. And they can distribute to every corner of Alabama while bypassing the physical nexus requirement on the sales tax. The online order fulfillment arm of this company is permitted to tax their orders at SSUT, even if they come out to your local brick and mortar. So I want you to remember 11 stores. If they can do 11 stores and service the whole state, what happens when Walmart does the same thing and they pull our neighborhood market out of Decatur? What about Dollar Tree? or even Dollar General. There's 896 Dollar Generals in the state of Alabama. At some point, it becomes it goes outside the strategic component of the business to where they say, the business model says I can just ship it to their house, so let's do what Kroger does. And then all of a sudden, that brick and mortar is out of your community. And that's not just for Decatur, that's for the whole state.
Again, that's because Kroger is being classified as an eligible seller
Correct.
by Alabama Department of Revenue.
Yes, sir.
Which may not necessarily align with the legislation around SSU.
The true spirit of the legislation, I don't think, intended for that type of service to be eligible for SSUT. And that's my presentation. I know there's lots of questions, so.
So back to the destination based, I know Alabama came up with this method because the destination based, they said was an issue to figure out. Do you know how many states do destination based as far as tax collections?
I think it's 27.
27.
In fact, the state of Tennessee does it, so what, 20, 30 miles north of here? I don't think an argument could be had if there was administrative costs or, you had to invent some type of software. We're literally requiring an Amazon to keep that data in order to be eligible.
When it sounds like Paydor has the data.
That's what I'm saying. It doesn't make any sense why that could be a reasoning why we couldn't do it from a technology or administrative burden. They're already having to do it. And I don't think Amazon, I know they won't be. They're doing it in 27 other states, would have an issue doing it in the state of Alabama.
Right.
Which is a fair way to do it. What we're asking is that the population is generating the tax revenue. The tax revenue goes to their local jurisdiction.
Yeah, and to clarify what we're talking about, destination sourcing is essentially wherever the package is delivered to, that is the local tax that is administered to the consumer.
But the lawsuit's not necessarily asking, obviously the judicial system can't require it go destination-based. What the lawsuit is asking is to enforce the definitions of eligible seller and marketplace facilitator, which would then require the Amazons, the Krogers, and the Targets to pay the local and state tax rate.
Yes, sir.
Currently, the tax rate is 8% versus where most municipalities, the all-in tax rate is higher. I think I saw somewhere the average was 9.4, something throughout the state in that ballpark. So
It's 9.38.
okay.
Decatur is on the low end of that, not.
And so one of the arguments is this bit should be fixed by the legislature, but they have not done it, as you were mentioning.
Yes, ma'am.
And when you're looking at the eligible seller and marketplace facilitator, that's not being implemented the way the current law reads. It's not. So that's not a legislative issue. They've got it in there. Aldor is not following it the way it was intended. That's a judicial issue to get that corrected. That's the way I'm looking at it. And that's only part of it. And the rest of it is how you distribute. So if you distribute based on population, and there was probably good intentions when that first happened, but that doesn't really equate very well because different areas will have more online sales than other areas. And it's not just based on your population. In order to make sure, like Tuscaloosa, that their average age is really low. It's like 28.
Compared to us, yeah.
Because it's a college town.
Yeah.
All of the college towns have a lower average age. And when you look at the data on who spends a lot of time online ordering, it's going to be that particular demographic. So they're really losing out.
Yeah.
So this is just not fair. And quite frankly, and we have to look out for the interest of Decatur. Now, we want to look out for the interest of Morgan County and the state of Alabama and the region and all that too. But we do have to look out for the best interest of Decatur. And so as we're looking at this, and some people may disagree with what I'm about to say, but when there's unveiled or veiled threats that anybody that joins this particular lawsuit, can maybe expect not to get state funding, not from any of our local delegation. That comment is outrageous. It just is. It's very upsetting that veiled threat would be made. So this is very, I mean, I support what they're doing. I mean, this is a good thing to do for more than just Decatur, for other municipalities and school systems.
Anybody have any other questions, or Kyle, do you have anything to add?
No, I just say it's having been involved with it, it's very convoluted. There's a lot of moving pieces and little facets to this that can be very confusing. So if there's any questions or comments from here on out, feel free to let me know.
I have one question.
Okay.
After Friday afternoon, I got back to the office and typed it in. Amazon, I want to order this. Looked at the tax rate, it was 9%. Got on Walmart.com, I want to buy this. Tax rate, 9%. So are they giving you that money in a different way? Or?
I looked up some invoices just recently for me on Amazon, not that you didn't see right, and mine all calculated to 8%. So I'm not sure what that could be. Now the Walmart piece, I'll comment that there is a local component and then there's the online marketplace. So if you are potentially buying something, I think that can be fulfilled from a local store, you'll get charged the 9% rate versus, you can, like eBay, you can be a seller on their marketplace. Just depends on which type of product you're looking for.
Well,
I can't speak to what you saw. I'd have to see it myself.
And you're probably right.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to go look at it a little closer, and that's probably a good explanation for that. But I do know that as a small business, we've been having to do destination tax reimbursements for years. And I've got like 15 to 20 different jurisdictions that we have to keep up with, and we have to keep up with it,
Yeah.
and then remit that through Aldor and hopefully get it back.
No, I was talking to Hunter about small business, obviously he being a small business owner as well, and I said, it's, you don't see a lot of the big corp box put the sign in the ball field or put their sponsorship in the program at the Princess. It's the local small businesses that do that, and I'm not saying this is 100% going to fix the disadvantages that small business has, but it's an inherent disadvantage, and we're really not, we walk around and say small business. This doesn't help that situation, and really small business is the foundation of communities, and more than just making money, it's, our kids, it's our quality of life, all those things, so.
But the fix of the issue here is not to increase SSUT.
No.
To level the playing field with small business. That actually doesn't fix it.
No, it's that properly allocate.
It's about the redistribution of taxes generated by our residents who expect our tax dollars to go to work for them. And this is a growing revenue source for municipalities. What we're simply asking for is to keep the taxes that we generate, that our residents generate here in Decatur.
Sure. And it's vital for us to be able to offer the services we do as a city with the tax base that we have.
Yeah, we have to, and I think we all agree that, the way this is allocated and distributed, we're kind of coming up on the short end of the stick. I think there's no doubt there. And, Tuscaloosa jumping out like they have. Legal, what do you think? Cause I've gone back and forth, and here's where I've gone back and forth over the weekend. There is currently a lawsuit in place. Whether or not we jump on it or not, it's going to cost us money, things of that nature. I think from the dialogue I'm hearing from the diocese, we all agree with the notion of the suit. My concern is whether or not we jump in it, partly because of what Ms. Worcester said.
Yeah, well, I've got some thoughts that I will share whenever. Yeah, you're segueing very well. Yes, I've thought about this just when it first came up last week and then into the weekend. But here's where we are, or I am. It's no doubt the city of Tuscaloosa has gone out in front with Mountain Brook and the school system for Tuscaloosa, and there may be other cities that join. But we looked at intervening, in other words, getting into the particular formal lawsuit. Well, they have done an excellent job of allegations they made covering the areas that we would cover. We really, as a city of Decatur, don't have any additional contentions. They have covered those. So it's not unusual for a city to file something that impacts other cities. And we want to be supportive of Tuscaloosa, and I'll go with others. I think we could better use our resources to assist them. I've been in touch with their city attorney numerous times and will continue to do that. I'm talking about Tuscaloosa's attorney. And our vision would be to try to use the city's resources, in other words, information that Kyle's just shared and other things to help them. But as far as us intervening in the lawsuit, I don't know that we gained any benefit from a legal standpoint to that.
Because that case is going on, whether or not the city can.
That's right, and it's going to go on for quite a while. But all right, let's quick lesson that y'all already know. We only have the authority which the state of Alabama grants us. We do not have what's called home rule. There's a thing it's much older than I am, believe it or not. It's called the Dillon Rule, that says that you only have the authority which the state grants you, and that's where we are. They decide how to allocate funds. They provide the authority that we have. So the legislature is going to have to be a part of this. They're not necessarily a part of this litigation, but and Kyle's shared this. It's been going on with the legislature, and we just got to find an additional way to emphasize the importance of them helping us. But if it's the court can't solve all of this. The court has to go up to a certain point, and then the legislature is going to be involved. So my suggestion is that, and I've developed another resolution which I sent out this afternoon to you, that basically shows support for Tuscaloosa, basically says that they are right on point with what they're alleging, and that we will be supportive of that. In all openness, Tuscaloosa provided some of this information because we want to show a resolution of support, I believe, because they are right on point, and what Kyle has shared is where we are. But once again, we believe that we can better do that by supporting what Tuscaloosa is already alleging and provide information and other resources. And then one additional thing which we added, because this needs to be clarified in the courts and in the legislature. One other item we put, and it was already touched on, we're asking y'all to authorize our Revenue Department to once again reach out to ADOR, or Alabama Department of Revenue, and provide us the information they have to show what the sales from an SSUT standpoint are. And the main thing that needs to be, we have participants that Kyle has very eloquently shown. We have participants in the SSUT system that should not be there. And that's what's been alleged, and that's what we would be supportive of also, because that's another thing. But that's basically, so I prepared this resolution, which I'd ask that you consider first, and it'd have, in my mind, it would have the same resolution number as the other one. It basically does what I just shared. It supports Tuscaloosa and the other plaintiffs, and spells out, and of course this could be sent to our legislators, and of course it'll be sent to Tuscaloosa and others to show that we are supportive of it. And of course we would be in touch, our legal department would be in touch with Tuscaloosa to make sure we stay up to date and give them the support they need to get this clarified and modifications made. So what I'm suggesting is that we do this rather than intervene, because it becomes very costly, and those funds could be better used in supporting.
Based off of recommendation from legal, I would move that we adopt this resolution in front of us.
Well, let me make a simple point.
Well, you're talking about the one I provided, not the other one. All right, yeah, thank you.
Anyway, let me make a simple point. You know, I feel like the simplified user's tax is not being handled in a way that treats cities fairly. The distribution is uneven and shortchanges communities like ours. And I support whatever it takes to correct this process. The lawsuit that's filed by Tuscaloosa and other Alabama cities aims to fix how SSUT dollars are administered and allocated. Our role today is to decide how we stand with that work. I've given each of you a letter that the mayor from Tuscaloosa, Walt Maddox, has sent us, so we're talking about this. If the city council chooses to adopt a resolution that supports this, I'm all in favor of that. Not necessarily joining the lawsuit, but supporting for it. Our goal is fair treatment, clear rules, and a stronger future for Decatur. And I think either way that we go with it is what ensures that.
If I can say one more, if I thought our interest was being prejudiced by us not getting into the formal lawsuit, I would share that. I would have shared that weeks ago, okay? All right.
Well, we do have a motion on the floor to substitute the resolution with a resolution of support. That resolution would be resolution number 25-351. It would read, a resolution expressing support for the city of Tuscaloosa in litigation challenging the administration of simplified seller's use tax by the Alabama Department of Revenue. We do have a motion by Mr. McMasters. Is there a second to put that on the floor? Second by Mr. Bullard. Any discussion around that resolution?
I also wanted to kind of point out what you were saying, Mayor. You're saying by the letter that Mayor Maddox sent, he's actually asking for support, not necessarily to join the lawsuit. That's what he's mainly asking for. So that's another thing to consider. Okay.
Well, I would just say I'll absolutely support this resolution. It has a significant impact on the city of Decatur and our residents. I don't believe the current implementation of the SSUT is fair to our residents, and that is what we're elected to do, is to represent our constituents and do what's in the city's best interest. And financially, it's around $7 million annually right now, and I would expect by the end of this term, it'd be substantially more. And that will impact, not just the fun stuff that residents like to see, but it will impact our police department and our fire department, and those other critical services to our community.
And our schools.
And the schools throughout the state. So, I support what the lawsuit says. I think it really comes down to the simple fact that we as cities would like to see Alabama Department of Revenue enforce the definition of a seller and a facilitator, eligible seller and marketplace facilitator. So with that, I'll support this gladly. So is there any other discussion? Anybody like to say anything? I'll quit talking. With that, roll call. Aye.
McMasters.
Aye.
Atkins. Aye. Bressler. Aye. Bullard.
All right, resolution number 25-351, a resolution expressing support for the city of Tuscaloosa in litigation challenging the administration of the simplified seller use tax by the Alabama Department of Revenue is approved with a vote of 5-0. With that, there is nothing else for this special called meeting. Would everybody?
I just want to say one thing. I think Mr. Newsom did a fabulous job presenting that to the council.
Well, he's been very passionate about this for a long time, and we appreciate that. That's his job, is to look at ways constantly that the city can generate more revenue and protect our interests. So if everybody will be okay, we will take a short recess before our work session. We'll reconvene at, let's say, 4:45.
Yeah, this meeting's adjourned.
Yeah, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, everybody, thank you for the quick recess. Now we will move into the work session for the December 15th council meeting. And I believe we have some presentations in this one, so we'll get to those when we get to those agenda items. Next week, we will start with a presentation from Community Development Manager Alan Stover discussing the grant funding process. So, Alan, appreciate you doing that. Look forward to hearing from you next week. Approval of monthly bills, approved November 2025 AP checks. Any discussion? All right, approval of minutes, November 24th, 2025, 5 p.m. council work session. December 1st, 2025, 5:30 p.m. council work session. December 1st, 2025, 6 p.m. council meeting. Any discussion on those? All right, public hearings, ordinance number 254618, approved pre-zoning request 142925 for 2.35 acres located at 2508 Gordon Terry Parkway Southwest. The public hearing was set on November 17th, 2025. Speak to that.
Yes, this is a public hearing. Good evening, council. This is a public hearing for approval of a rezoning request for 2.35 acres located at 2508 Gordon Terry Parkway Southwest. The request is to rezone from M-1A to CR, or what will become CR in the next zoning ordinance, in the zoning rewrite.
What will we call it in this one?
The new one?
No, what do we call it?
M1A.
Okay.
M1A, it will be M1A, but in the new zoning ordinance, it'll be
Okay,
CR.
go to M1A. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
All right. You got anything else to add on this one? Any questions? You got a couple more, don't you? All right,
Yep.
ordinance number 254621, approved rezoning request 143025 to rezone 2926 Old Moulton Road Southwest to R1E residential estate. This public hearing was set on November 17th, 2025.
Yes, this rezoning is to rezone from R2 to R1E. It was previously R2. We had a few comments from the community concerned about what was going to go on their property. The property owner said he's interested in the R1E zoning, particularly to have horses. So he has enough land and space to have horses on that site.
And this one was approved. There's kind of two together. This one was approved by Planning Commission.
This was approved by Planning
Recommended,
Commission. Yeah.
Okay, the next one, to go along with that one, is ordinance number 254622, approved rezoning request 143125 to rezone 2735 Old Moulton Road Southwest to Ag 1 Agriculture. Public hearing was set November 17th, 2025.
Yes, this particular zoning request is to rezone it from ID to AG1, but in the new ordinance, it'll just become AG. The Planning Commission was deadlocked on this issue right here. It was 3-3, a split vote. I think the concern was that previously the Planning Commission, there was an attempt to rezone it to AG-1 and it didn't pass previously. From a planning standpoint, our only concern with the rezonings is that we have one parcel with zoning, I would like to refer to it as floating zoning over the lot, the parcel, and it's not subdivided between the two zonings.
How common is that?
Well, with my previous experience, I haven't seen it often, but it has happened here a few times, and this was my first encounter with it.
I would say the city has many parcels that have no parcels.
Any other questions on that one?
Based off that, I mean, with it a 3-3 split, I'll talk to you.
Right.
All right, ordinance number 254623, approved pre-zoning request 143225 for property west of 4211 Ruby Point Southeast. This public hearing was set on November 17th, 2025.
Yes, this particular property was annexed, and the plan is to rezone it to R-2, which will later become under the new ordinance RS10, which basically fits, meaning that it'll be set aside for 10,000 square foot lots in the event that the property is subdivided.
Minimum.
Yeah, minimum, sorry.
Any questions on that one? All right, thank you, Chad. Resolution number 25-338, approve request for retail beer and wine off-premise only for T&M Corner Store LLC at 1101 Moulton Street West, Decatur, Alabama 35601.
Yeah, this location was acquired by a new owner, and it was previously a store. He's going to keep it that way and do off-premise beer and wine only.
Okay. Any questions? Thank you very much. Resolutions. Resolution 25-339, approved purchase of 2025 Sutphen pumper for the fire department in the amount of $999,619.08. Chief Springer.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, Nathan Springer, Fire Department. Just to start here, I'd like to just give a little backstory on the history and what we've recently faced as a fire service with fire trucks. Right now, when we're approved funds for a new fire truck, we're looking at 36 to 44 months from the moment we get in line until we take delivery of those trucks. Also, some other things that we're facing is emissions controls. A lot of the federal mandates are causing some challenges for us. And then the other part, the biggest part, is the pricing increase. We're seeing about a 5 to 10% annual increases across the industry. So we were approved some funds mid-year of FY24, and during the time we were speccing out that truck, which will take delivery in the fall of 27, an opportunity was presented to us. Another city had purchased 4 trucks. They decided they only needed 2 of them. So we were offered the opportunity to purchase 2 of those trucks. In those discussions with our CFO and Mayor Lawrence, we kind of landed on purchasing one of those trucks now. What that would do is we would take delivery of that truck within the next couple of months. We would put that right in our fleet, and it's much needed. It would also give us a chance to have a better strategic plan and budget plan moving forward. So this is a much needed opportunity, and we just want to present this to you tonight as a resolution to purchase this new pumper truck.
Which station will this go to?
More than likely, this will go to station 6 or 7. Both of those trucks house trucks that are 2016 models, and with us bumping up against 10 years on those trucks, it would go to one of those stations.
Those
and then
they go to reserves. Those trucks would then become.
Yes, sir. We'll just shift it down the line, and then so our reserve trucks, we're running 2 2007 model trucks that are, as we say, flashing the red light. That there's some issues there.
I was in middle school.
They're going to need replacement soon.
It don't necessarily have to go to a reserve. It could go to another station.
Yes, what we'll do is we'll treat this as like an overall fleet management, where we're getting to the point that we would be able to put one of these Sutphens in reserve, and that would, as much like right now, 2 of our frontline pumpers, due to some repairs that are having to be made, they're on those 2007 model trucks, and that's, again, those are starting to show signs of the wear and tear through the years.
When was the last time we took a look? Did we buy 1 or 2 last time? I guess when was the last time?
Well, we approved, we got 1 and approved 2, and that is the one, it's 36 to 48 months roughly on lead time. So what this does is we will buy this one, and this funding will come from the unassigned fund balance, and we will leave the $1 million in the budget for the one that we would take possession of next fall.
Right. I'm just curious of the ones that we've approved in the last 4 or 5 years. Has 1 hit the floor, or we still got 1 coming down the pipe, 1 hit the floor, and 1 we can take delivery on in 2 months?
So we've got two of our apparatus, Tower 4 and Engine 5, are both 2020 models. The one that y'all approved in mid-year of 24, that's the one we'll take delivery of in fall of 27.
Right. Didn't we approve another one?
One's coming in December.
The one's coming, okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes, we do have another one. I apologize. Yes, sir. It's coming. It's at Williams Fire right now. We have crews down there.
We approved that 3 years ago, 2.5, 3 years ago.
Yes, sir.
So that is, so thank you guys for working together to see this opportunity. We got 3 years. It's crazy.
Yes, sir.
Any questions?
Okay, thank you.
All right, resolution 25-340, authorize the mayor to enter into the attached agreement with Purite McAnally for geotechnical work for the Whistle Bend Park project. Alan?
Yeah, this is just an agreement with Purite McAnally to do geotechnical work at the bridge at Market Street and 31. We'd work on it, Turtle Bridge, but I think there was decided to change the name of it to Whistle Bend Park. So it'll just allow us to, we're ready, I think, once we get the geotechnical to bid this project out. So it's getting very close.
Okay.
So that's a name change.
Yeah, it is.
That's
Yeah.
why I didn't know what that was.
Yeah. Originally, it was going to be the Turtle Bridge project, but they wanted to change it to Whistle Bend.
All right, any questions? All right, resolution number 25-341, authorize the mayor to enter into an agreement with Lord A.X. Sargent for Delano Park tree planting plan.
Yeah, this is the grant that we received from the state for this project. This is just the agreement with Lord Sargent to do the work.
Okay, any questions? All right, thank you, Alan.
Thank you.
Resolution number 25-342, declare surplus of equipment no longer needed by landfill department. Mr. Sherrill.
Jeremy Sherrill, purchasing. This is 2 assets at the landfill, no longer operational. We're looking to surplus.
All right, any questions? Thank you, sir. You get the next one. Resolution number 25-343, award bid number 26002 to Amusement Restoration Companies, LLC for Point Maui 3 Flume Slide Restoration.
I think the last time these slides were restored was 2015. It's recommended this can be done, depending on usage, anywhere from 3 to 10 years. So we got to the 10-year mark on those. We opened bids on November 18, had 4 bidders respond, and Amusement Restoration Company is the recommended lowest bidder.
Okay, any questions? What's the timeline expected on that? I assume Stephanie, if you want to speak to that. But
Sure. Yes, this is, we do have this amount we've asked for and was budgeted in for our budget, so thankful for that. To go forward with this bid, it is under, so we're again thankful for that. The way that this typically happens is once we award the bid and you all vote on the resolution, then we'll contact them and we try to get it lined up for the spring. So we're hoping to get this done and ready anywhere between March and April, depending on weather and other projects they've committed to.
all right, thank you. Any other questions? All right, resolution 25-344, approve and authorize mayor to execute contract for the event center change order number 2. Mr. Allen.
So this change order allows us to pay or hire Corson to work the new fire alarm system at the event center. We plan to use the money from the contingency to cover that $60,000+ bill or quote from Corson. And it's something that, I mean, we have to do. The fire systems currently are not operable, and in the initial design or project budget that was created years ago, there was the plan to keep the original fire alarm system. After construction is continued, it's no longer operable, and so that's what has led us to this point. So,
all right, any questions? All right, resolution number 25-345, approve and authorize mayor to sign contract for the new rec center change order number 5.
So this is the most recent change order for the new rec center. It totals $141,792. It is a very extensive document, and each change order within the document, there's documentation and outlines for each one and justification. So I really just wanted to open up if you have any questions about any of those items listed.
Okay, any questions right now?
How much was it, Hunter? I'm sorry.
It was $141,792. There's a total of 12 items on there. 11 of those actually have a financial obligation tied to them. So I didn't. So I didn't know if you had any specific for each one of those, but they're all. Fortunately, in this situation, they do a really good job of outlining each one of those in the document.
All right, resolution number 25, excuse me, any more questions on that one? Sorry. All right, resolution number 25-346, approve additional funding for the Sportsplex project. I believe Hunter.
Before Hunter starts his presentation, I just want to say something here. Since being elected, I've taken a lot of time to study the Sportsplex bill. And there's one plain truth, simple truth that I'd like to discuss. The original contract price for the Moses Road Sportsplex was unrealistic. It did not reflect the actual cost of the build of the modern multi-field complex as this. As of now, we have invested $15 million in site work, utilities, lighting, and pool construction. We have studied similar projects nationwide to demonstrate actual costs. Across multiple states and project types, this pattern holds sportsplex costs Sportsplex costs have nearly doubled since 2008. Every smaller six-field build now approaches $40 million. Eight-field complexes typically fall within $45 to $70 million range, depending on the amenities, site condition, and turf selection. Stopping now leaves the city with a $15 million spend with nothing usable. Completing the sportsplex primarily provides the cater with a long-term asset benefit. Our families can directly use post-tournaments to help pay for this complex and boost the economic growth for our great city. I'll let you go ahead now, Hunter.
Well, Mayor stole my opening statement, so I guess I got to pivot. No, I think, and I've talked to a lot of people about this situation, and I think it was definitely a situation where we didn't necessarily overspend, we under budgeted, and I think that's critical. Now, there were definitely situations where we did end up spending more money than initially planned, but the biggest issue here was the lack of money on the front end. And so I wanted to kind of get into it here. This for me, especially with the new council and new administration, this was really to provide clarity, transparency, and share where we started, what's happened to date, and where we go from here. So the best for here, our path is we wanted to present two options that we've worked extensively on that we feel like are suitable options to get us to a finish line, something that we could be proud of as a city. And so today we'll run these by all of you, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask as they come up. So we'll go ahead and proceed. So the picture here in this presentation is the current status, shows the current status of the project. The initial budget was roughly $18 million, and we've spent just about $15 million to date. City leadership made a responsible decision to pause construction, reevaluate completion strategies roughly a year ago. And with that pivot over the last year, there's been a lot of things change. Fight was hired as a construction manager to help us navigate the process back in April of 2025. I was brought on to the team in August of 2025. And over the past 3 months, I've worked closely with city leadership, with the construction management team, architects, and everybody involved to help us get to a point where we feel like we're comfortable presenting to council to find a suitable solution. Go ahead one more, please. All right, so in the original design, some of the largest piece of the puzzle, and let me kind of give you a background here. The design went out to bid throughout probably the middle of the process, which I think was one of the initial failure points on our side. When this design went out and came back, I think this is when, and the bids came back for this design, I think that's when the alarm bell started going off for the city. Some of the changes, this is probably one of the largest changes that we made in the design. So you'll notice in both options presented today, we have reduced the footprint of the actual vertical structures. So these were the original design vertical structures. You'll see on the left, the large concession building, which was 3 stories. The 3rd story was holding the mechanical units, and they were structural steel verticals, and they're beautiful buildings, beautifully designed, but they did come with a hefty price tag. And going back to the history of this, the architect was specifically asked to design something to this magnitude because at the time the Decatur wanted to pursue. I mean, they wanted something to be proud of, and they wanted something designed eloquently, and they definitely were that. And so in Building B, you see here, was the second concession stand facility. So there was 2 facilities on site. Working with the architect closely, we made modifications to both of these structures to reduce the cost, to try to save money while we felt like we were still getting a high-quality structure that we could be proud of. Building A, which would be the main concession area, hosts multiple concession stand points, 2 large bathroom facilities, as well as storage for facility equipment. And then Building B, you notice here, it has 2 restrooms as well, a family restroom, and we removed the concession piece and added open vending machines to the public that would kind of help serve that concession piece, but not being staff concession. And just to kind of, let's go one more slide, please. And this large picture will provide more clarity on the project and the design. So option A that we're presenting today, and just to be clear, both options that we're presenting, they have the same vertical structures for the large concession and the small Building B. So here you'll notice we have 4 fields on the left side and then 2 multi-purpose fields on the right side. The 2 multi-purpose fields make up 2 or 4 total baseball, softball fields, and the multi-purpose fields also have lines for soccer, flag football, lacrosse, and other sports as well. So if you notice, I want to point out the vertical structures. The larger one is on the left side in the middle of the facility, and the smaller Building B is up in the middle in between the 2 multi-purpose fields. One more slide, please. The biggest highlights in option A, it includes 4 softball, baseball fields, 2 multi-purpose fields, which totals 8 complete fields, 1 large facility, 1 smaller facility, which includes the restrooms and concessions that we discussed, has a large concrete footprint, steel decorative fencing surrounding the park, a total of 16 batting cages, 2 at each field, 67 total shade structures, and advanced wayfinding signage. You'll see here in option A, the buildings that we showed at the beginning, these modified structures are a part of option A, bringing the total amount, so this would be on top of the $15 million that we've currently spent. The amount to finish the project, we're estimating $21.2 million, and that does include all fees, and it includes a 5% contingency as well. So this is full scope estimate to finish. Now, this still would have to go out to bid, but our numbers that we've estimated would roughly be $21.2 additional million to complete as this is designed.
And a CM was involved in getting these voted.
100%. We have it line by line broke out for, every piece of concrete, wood, metal. It's broken down to the T, and we'd be more than happy to provide those documents to anybody that wishes to review those. This is the blueprint for Building A and B. You'll notice the restrooms, the concessions. Any questions about this layout? Next slide, please. So just to note, some of the modifications that are in option A that we discussed were the modified vertical structures, modified dugout designs, and just a slightly reduced from the original design by removing the structural steel buildings and dugouts. That was really the only modifications from the original design for this option. All right, so this gets us to our other option on the table, which is option B. Option B, total estimate additional to finish is $15.1 million. So let me be very clear. The $15.1 million does not include the second vertical structure. So the second vertical structure,
Okay.
which is the building B, which is the restrooms, the second restroom facility, the smaller one. But we do have it where the council can choose to have it in the scope of the project for an additional $650,000. So that would.
As an alternate on the bid.
Correct.
You don't have to accept it.
So what will happen.
What's the total project over budget?
Yeah, so the construction companies that bid on this project, we can have them add that to the bid, and then we would be able to decide if we wanted that second building or not.
But you have to approve them to make this option.
Correct. So if you approve option B, that will be in the bid packet as an add alternate, and then once the bids come back, it could be slightly less or more than $650,000 once the bids come back, but that was our estimate for the structure.
So there's restrooms in this building, but the building B was going to have additional restrooms.
Yeah, can you go back to?
One building's right
Keep going,
here.
right there.
That's restrooms.
So.
Building B is up here, and so it won't be there unless you take this option for that other building right there.
Right.
Yeah. Now, I think this is going back to the layout for each building. You'll notice the building B, the smaller one, it has a men's and women's restroom, and it also has a family restroom, and it also has some storage space as well. So to where option A, or building A in this option, it has large concession areas as well as the additional storage. I'm sorry, you can jump back to where we were. All right, so the large, notice the red that you see is where a lot of the modifications came in for option B. And on the, just kind of wrap your mind around that, and we'll talk through those changes. So you still, with this option, you still get a total of 8 softball, baseball fields. You get the 4 main and the 2 multi-purpose. So we have not compromised field usage with this option. You still get the large restroom and concession facility, and then the additional facility is on the table as well as an add alternate. The biggest changes here, we drastically reduced the amount of concrete on the site with this proposal. So to where initially we were reducing it to the minimum of what we would need to be ADA compliant. And that was, it being a very large site, that was a significant amount of savings by reducing the concrete footprint. We also had a large reduction on the exterior fence, which was a decorative steel fence. So reducing that also was a lot of savings. The batting cages that we discussed, it was 16 total batting cages, 2 per field. The plan is to consolidate those to 2 batting cages that would be shareable amongst the facility, which is consistent of other sports facilities across the southeast. The shade structures, we have modified the design of the shade structures and drastically reduced the footprint of those shade structures so that you wouldn't see quite as many. So next slide. So you still, with this option, you still get the same vertical designs with building A and building B that you would get in option 1. And then you would get it's the same footprint for these facilities as well. So today, my recommendation, I propose 2 options on the table. And I think with the way Herman set it up, and thank you, Herman, for working with me, but where we would write in the selection that the council, or next week, but we would write in the selection that council makes. But as a department and working with the construction team and people close to the city, these are the 2 proposals that we recommend to choose from.
All right, appreciate the presentation. If there's any questions now, you can ask them. I would suggest everybody look through this. I think you've shared it with everybody, or it's on the packet maybe, but everybody can review, and obviously we'll take up this matter next week. But does anybody have any questions right now?
Again, I'd just like to say, Hunter's put a lot of time into this and feel like that we really got a big package here with either option. Option A would be fabulous, and option B would still give us a great complex.
Yeah, I appreciate your work, digging in on this one. It's been a big issue for a while now, so, but we need to make a decision to move forward and complete the project. So. All right, there's no other questions. We will move on, and that is resolution number 25. I think that's it. Or are you up next? 25-347, approve and authorize mayor to sign agreement with Maverick Events for event management services at Ingalls. Is that you?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So, sorry, I did figure I'd just stay up here. All right, so we are looking to shift the way we book Ingalls Harbor, and we're looking at contracting that out to a event management company to help the city optimize the use of Ingalls Harbor, and then also remove the burden from the city when it comes to event booking and management of these contracts. We would still work very closely with Maverick Events if this contract was to get approved, and we would still assist in certain capacities to make sure events are managed and maintained and the facility is well kept. And so it would be a collaborative effort to some degree, but this would allow our department to save some money throughout the year, but also have an event management team that is incentivized for being able to book events and market the facility and that kind of stuff. So.
And if they reach a certain level, they get a percentage.
Yeah. So if you look at the contract, the proposal is that we pay Maverick $3,000 a month over the span of the year. So 1 year contract. After running the cost analysis for having an employee do this, it saves the city roughly $10,000 in the year for us to be able to contract it out. The revenue last year from Ingalls was roughly $100,000. So that's where we got the baseline threshold from. And so we felt like if Maverick was able to come in and surpass that threshold, then there should be an incentive for them to pass that number. So that's the reason it's written the way that it is, because if they double the amount of events that's there next year and our revenue goes from 100 to 200, then we feel like it would be in our interest to for them to be compensated for that work. So that's the reason you see that incentive kick in at 100,000. So I think for us, the biggest thing was to optimize the use of Ingalls Harbor, and we feel confident working with Maverick to be able to do that.
What's the current booking like? How often is it booked now?
It's hard to give you exact. I mean, you could do an average of 100,000 divided by 3,000 to get a rough daily estimate. So that would give you roughly 35 days a year. And it's more than that because not every entity pays the same. And so that's when you look at the clause, it kind of breaks down payment, who has the authority to modify payments and that kind of thing as well. But, the goal for us would be, weekday, weeknight, weekend. I have no, and I don't have a hard number to give you. I'm just using that as an average based on the amount of revenue brought in. But obviously, we feel like, as with other facilities, we feel like there's more potential out there.
I'd like to mention that, Maverick does a lot of things. They were behind Derby on Bank last year. They're doing things to promote our city.
Yeah, and they're all. I mean, every member of that team they're a part of our community and live in our community, and so I think it's a group that I feel confident working with, and and they have a track record, as the mayor said, and they're doing a good job.
All right, any other questions?
And they just did Mary Mile, that was really.
Yeah, the event that you saw at the farmers market was their part, one of their productions. So that's something that I feel confident in. If we go down this road with them, I do feel confident in what they could offer.
All right. Thank you very much. Resolution number 25-348, approve city investment committee members' terms and elect committee chair. Herman, anything on that one? Anybody?
No, it's pretty straightforward. Standard.
Okay. All right, resolution number 25-349, approve and authorize mayor to sign Red Sage agreement for continuance of services. Ellen Didier is here to present on that. She's provided the council with a little bit of background information, we are in our fourth year.
Well, this would be the fourth coming up.
Okay, this will be the fourth
Yes.
year of this campaign, and so she has got a short presentation and some good details provided for us to consider and review before next week's vote. So, Ellen, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and council members. Thanks for letting me be here to talk about Positively Decatur. There's a lot of details in the deck I gave you there, but I'd like to just talk a little bit about the heart behind the work, why it was created and why it matters now more than ever. So first, on a personal note, I've lived here since 1994, started my business here, raised my kids here. I love this city. I've been a volunteer in this city for almost as long as I've lived here. So this initiative has always been more than a professional project to me. It's really, a privilege and a commitment to the place I call home. When we launched Positively Decatur in 2022, Decatur was facing a serious perception challenge. As you'll see in the handouts, Decatur had ranked last in positive perception among peer cities. That was a third-party survey from a research house that conducted that study. We were dead last, internally and externally. For years, business and community leaders, I was in a lot of these meetings, expressed frustration that only negative stories were being amplified. And with nearly 20 years of flat population growth, that perception problem had real economic consequences. The One Decatur plan identified branding and communications as a strategic priority. And when the earlier branding effort collapsed without delivering results, my company recommended a different approach, one that didn't try to brand from the top down, but really talked about the positive and created an environment where those positive stories were getting out over time, identifying the voices, the stories, the pride, and the identity that already existed here and just needed a platform. That's how Positively Decatur was born. It was a long-term storytelling initiative designed to rebalance perception, strengthen internal pride, and help potential residents understand why Decatur is such a great place to live. And over the last 3 years, the results have been there. As your slides reflect, Positively Decatur has now generated more than 7 million social impressions, over 45,000 website visits, and tens of thousands of engagements, all centered on the everyday people and organizations that make this community strong. Sentiment remains consistently above 90% positive. The content reaches far beyond our borders, and targeted advertising has helped us speak directly to audiences we need most, including new graduates, young professionals, and families relocating due to Redstone Arsenal and Space Command decisions. We've also seen website engagement more than double this year. That surge is not accidental. It reflects real interest in Decatur from people actively considering moving here. That's who we're targeting with the advertising. Decatur has several great organizations that do market different aspects of this community. Tourism markets for visitors, EDA for industry, the Chamber for business, downtown redevelopment for the city center, and of course the city's own channels for announcements and public information. They all do important work, but their messages are mixed with many other responsibility. Positively Decatur is the only initiative speaking directly to residents and potential residents, telling the human stories of this city and building the pride and perception that support long-term population growth. I also want to highlight something especially important given where the city is today. When we launched Positively Decatur in 2022, we worked very closely with the communications director that the city had at that time. It was a seamless, positive, collaborative relationship. The director set strategy and internal comms priorities, and Positively Decatur executed the content engine, storytelling, social media, video production, advertising, and analytics. It worked beautifully then, and it will work beautifully again as you're adding a communications director. As you bring in a new communications director, this campaign gives them a running start instead of a blank slate. They will inherit built-in audiences, functioning platforms, data-driven insights, and a proven system, and we'll collaborate with them to refine, adapt, and align the campaign with their vision for the city. For a small portion of the overall budget, the city gets both strategic leadership and a fully built content and outreach engine that would cost significantly more to replicate internally. I also want to note, because budget is always top of mind, that the investment in Positively Decatur for 2026 is at the same level as last year, and it's already been included in the city's approved budget. There's no increase to what was previously committed. The question today is simply whether to activate the funding that's already been allocated to continue a program that's working. Finally, I want to speak to what's at stake. If Positively Decatur stops now, the progress we've made in sentiment, reach, and community pride will begin to erode. We risk returning to that single narrative environment we used to have, where only negative stories, primarily through the media, dominate the conversation. In a time of transition with new leadership and a new communications director coming in, consistent and positive engagement with residents and potential residents is more important than ever. I respectfully ask you to consider the results we've shared today, the role Positively Decatur plays in supporting the city's goals, and the value this initiative brings for such a modest portion of the budget. We're proud of the stories we've told, and we're really grateful for the opportunity and privilege of telling them. Thank you for your time, for your leadership, and for the opportunity to continue supporting Decatur, a city that I love. Any questions?
Thank you, Ellen. We'll open it up. Anybody got any questions now? Or you may want to take some time, obviously, to...
And my cell phone number's in there. Happy to answer any questions you may have after you review everything.
Yeah. I would just say thank you, Ellen, for being here tonight, and to your whole team. I've been heavily involved since the beginning of this. Y'all have been more than willing to communicate with me.
We're good at that.
Whenever that is. But I've had a lot of questions, and I'm always impressed how quickly y'all respond and how thoroughly your whole team responds to my inquiries, but generating really good content, things that matter and things that a lot of the community don't know about. So I appreciate what y'all do, and it is really important that those stories get out there. So,
and based off of that, could you touch on like all the different types of hands that touch this campaign, be it from copywriters to videographers to, I mean, there's so many.
Yes.
I've heard, well, why doesn't the city just do this in-house? And the answer is simple. It would cost the city X amount of dollars to hire this person, that person. Could you kind of touch on that? And then I've got another follow-up after.
Yeah, happily, because marketing, when I started my company in 2006, it was easy. It was before social media. It was before digital campaigns. And we ended up growing. We're now at 23 team members. Actually, we just added 24 last week. The only way to do marketing really, really, really well is to have people where I have a social media person that only does the content. Because the person who does the social media advertising, she's not that great at content, but she's phenomenal at aligning the campaigns, measuring the campaigns, optimizing the campaigns for results. So just for social, I have two different people with very different skill sets. Alex and Casey, I think Casey is the one that handles Positively Decatur. He does all of the Google and online advertising. So the campaigns that are targeting the new residents primarily.
That was the second point. That was the follow-up. So if you want to go into that, and then we'll scroll.
Oh, but I haven't even gotten half of the team that touches. So
you've already touched on the second part of the question with, that what's something that might surprise some people is how much the advertising is going into the Google ads and the social ads to people outside of, and those are measurable.
Yes, right now we're building landing pages, which when you have a custom landing page aligned to the campaign, the conversions go up. And we're collecting form fills, and we're also having an e-newsletter sign up as well for people to request information. Actually, on the site, they can request information for everything from I'm interested in volunteering to relocation information, and we work with the partners that are behind this campaign to fulfill all of those. But we have a landing page being built for graduates and for the government relocation, and it'll be very optimized to the messages that will resonate with them.
I do think that's a really big benefit is we get a very professional, experienced, educated, true professionals in marketing. We get a full team of them at our disposal versus if you were to try to do something of this magnitude in-house would be exponentially more.
Yeah.
So anyways, are there any other questions right now from anybody? Thank you all.
All right, thank you all.
We'll take this matter up next week. All right, resolution number 25-350, approve emergency or urgent needs expenditure policy. This is, you want to go?
Go for it.
This is something I requested a couple meetings ago. This is a common occurrence. I think we had a lot of them last term. You think we had a lot of new HVACs and similar components by now, but right now it is very difficult. Those are usually time sensitive, which requires special call meetings. and so the request was to come up with a resolution that would authorize the mayor to approve an expenditure, and want to thank the mayor and Herman and Kyle for working on this, but there's a $40,000 threshold in here, so anything over that would require a council vote. We feel confident in that amount.
Yeah, and it's just an added piece of transparency for you all, that even if we do spend, typically if it's under, we move the capital threshold. So if it is under, we're typically eating into budget that necessarily wasn't necessarily budgeted. So what this policy does is just require us to have to bring that update to you all, so that it's not just all piled into, say, a mid-year adjustment that typically comes.
And I want to point out one thing, it's not just my decision, it's the three of us.
Yes.
Yeah, unanimous approval between.
And the department will obviously be involved when they present it to the three of us, so.
And then just be reported back to
Yes, sir.
council at the following meeting. So this is good, and I hope this allows our facilities that we have to stay in proper condition, especially ranging weather events. So
I just hope we
Three of us
don't.
will get together very soon.
Yeah, I just hope that we don't have the guys go out there more than 40,000 anytime soon.
All right, any other questions on that one? All right, ordinances, first reading, ordinance 254625, approve annexation request number 38225, River City Fabrication Mechanical Properties on Gordon Terry Parkway. Mr. Bowman.
Yes, this annexation is for, I think it's a warehouse that's coming to the site. The person is requesting to have it rezoned to accommodate that use, of course. That's basically it.
Okay. Any questions? The next one, ordinance number 254626, approve annexation request 38325, Decatur Utilities Properties, 16th Avenue Northwest.
This is an annexation request to bring into the city a piece of property that Decatur Utilities would like to use as a pump station.
Okay. Any questions? Thank you, sir. Boards and committees, we got quite a few on here. Many of these were terms that were expiring on December 31st, 2026, and then some additional that were part-time term or partial terms and will go full-time. So we'll read through these. Mayoral appointment of Stephen Mosier to the Planning Commission with term expiring December 31st, 2031. This will be Mr. Mosier's first full term. Any questions? All right. Appoint Bobby Wilson to the Personnel Board with term expiring December 31st, 2030. This will be Ms. Wilson's first full term. Any questions? All right. Appoint Chester Ayers to the Board of Zoning Adjustment with term expiring December 31st, 2028. This will be Mr. Ayers' second full term. Any questions? Appoint Mark Moody to the Board of Zoning Adjustment to be a full member position with term expiring December 31st, 2028. Mr. Moody is moving from a supernumerary to a full member, replacing Delane Dean, who has served 2 terms. Any questions? All right. Appoint John Baggett to the Board of Zoning Adjustment as a supernumerary member with term expiring December 31st, 2026. This will be a partial term for Mr. Baggett as he is replacing Mark Moody, who moved to a full member. Any questions?
It might be valuable to explain to the public what we mean, why we have supernumeraries and what that means.
Okay, you want to do that now? We can just cover it in the meeting. So,
Yeah, that's good.
all right. Appoint Wesley Perry to the Board of Appeals of Construction Industries with term expiring December 31st, 2028. This will be Mr. Perry's second full term. Any questions? Appoint Jacob Woods to the Board of Appeals of Construction Industries with term expiring December 31st, 2028. This will be Mr. Woods' second full term. Any questions? Appoint Millicent Bolding to the Library Board with term expiring June 30th, 2029. This will be Ms. Bolding's second full term. Any questions? Appoint Bonnie Hurst to the Library Board with term expiring June 30th, 2029. This will be Ms. Hurst's first full term. Any questions? Appoint Zach Cameron to the Parks and Recreation Board with term expiring December 31st, 2030. This will be Mr. Cameron's first full term. Any questions? Appoint Daniel Fritz to the Parks and Recreation Board with term expiring December 31st, 2030. This will be Mr. Fritz's first full term. Any questions? Appoint Nathan Fowler to the Pryor Field Airport Authority with term expiring September 30th, 2030. This will be Mr. Fowler's second full term. Any questions? Appoint Charlotte Gregory to the Industrial Development Board, term expiring April 2nd, 2029. Ms. Gregory will be serving a partial term, replacing Terrence Welch. Any questions? All right, appoint Stratton Orr to the Morgan County Industrial Park and Economic Development Cooperative with term expiring May 31st, 2028. This will be a partial term for Mr. Orr here, replacing James Thompson. Any questions? Okay, anything from directors? Mr. Demeester?
I have one. It's for Chief Mack. He has a request to add a resolution for a donation they received from Air Products. Typically, those will come to council. You all have the authority to sign off on how they spend it. Their request is to use the donation for Shop with a Cop, and that comes with a little bit of a timeline for them to be able to do so for the holiday season. So their request, it's for $7,000, and he'll have the resolution added if you see fit.
Yep, that would be great to get it added.
Great, thank you.
All right,
Yeah, one thing, I just want to point out that last Monday, y'all passed a resolution to make parking in the deck free, and Dane Shaw took care of that. The very next day, we had already had that operational, with gates working correctly and a sign posted showing the times it was free. So I just wanted to point out great reaction to that. Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it, Dane. Mayor, appreciate you working on that as well. Again, our meeting will be next Monday, December 15th at 10 a.m. If there's nothing else, we are done. Thank you.